In this video, we're going to take another look at the WNBA. I don't want to do much college basketball right now, as the only thing going on is Ash Watkins' arrest, and I don't have a lot on that. I want to stay away from that issue personally until more information comes out. So in this video, it will be WNBA. We will hit on a number of topics. Can the Fever win out? This will include looking at their remaining schedules, Diana Taurasi and Natasha Cloud facing possible suspension due to too many techs. And then we will take another look for the fight for the number 8 seed. But before we start, if you enjoyed the content, then please consider subscribing to the channel and giving the video a like. All right, let's get into this. So the Indiana Fever continue on their hot torrid streak. They are the hottest team. They're the hottest team in the WNBA. As currently, they are on a 4-game winning streak, the longest in the WNBA currently. As well, over the last 10 games, they are 8-2. They tie the New York Liberty with the best record over the last 10 games, as the New York Liberty are also 8-2. Now, I must tell you, if I would have done a video prior to the game, I would have said that Dallas was going to win for sure, as I thought it was a classic trap game after their big win over Chicago. I thought Indiana was destined to be a little bit flat or off their game, and they weren't great, actually. There were a few. You could tell that Caitlin Clark wasn't sharp. There was one play where she sort of fumbled the ball off a rebound out of bounds and sort of miscues like that. There was a dribble handoff turnover as well. They just didn't seem sharp, but they still got it done, which is unbelievable. It makes other teams should be more afraid of that when they have their not A game going and they can still get the victory, especially considering if you look at it, like Arike Ogumawale had a good game. Like, she was efficient. Like, that's usually the teller if Dallas is going to win or not. But she scored 34 points, but as well, she went 12 for 25, 9 for 16 from three-point land. So, yeah, you would think all money, that was the game. And they just tightened when the game got to crunch time, Indiana made the plays and simply Dallas did not. That's what it looked like to me. They were able to get back into the game with 3-pointers. Kelsey Mitchell was awesome as well. Like, she is on such a heater. So she went for 36 points off 12 of 22 shooting for 36 points, and she was 5 of 7 from 3. Clark was good as well. She went 10 for 19 from the floor and 5 for 11 from three-point range, going for 28 points. And she, at the very end of the fourth quarter, she hit a few of her classic long threes that really got them back into it. And then they just made the plays at the end, like I said. It is always easy to kill the head coach after a loss, and I like Latricia Trammell, but I'm not sure some of the things she's doing. In the game against the Fever, they played J.C. Sheldon 37 minutes, and it seemed in the post-game press conference the reason, or her reasoning, Trammell is that she played her in college and knew Caitlin's moves. And okay, I guess that's fine. I mean, it didn't really work, obviously, because Clark got her points, which she would anyway. And Sheldon did fine, although she had the worst minus 14, but that doesn't necessarily mean that much. But her numbers were fine. She went 3 for 6 from the floor for, what did she get? 8 points. She had 4 assists, 3 steals, and she didn't have any turnovers. That's a good score line. But the game prior versus Minnesota, Uzan got all the minutes. So Uzan went for 31 minutes, went for 11 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals, and only had 1 turnover. So I don't know the whole rotating the point guard situation. It's like, a little bit like if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback. And I just think they need to settle a little bit on a point guard. The other thing I'd like to see Dallas do is I would like to see them play Satu Sabally at the 5, because Tara McCowan, she's just not getting done enough for offense. She gives up so much on defense if there's a mismatch. And yeah, I just think a team like Indiana that pushes the pace, I would rather have Sabally playing those minutes and then getting Maddie Siegrist on and more Uzan and trying to match up with him that way. Now, the Fever winning out, that is conceivable to me. As if you look, their next game is obviously the Sparks at home. Then they have the Lynx at home, tough game. Atlanta at home, again, a tough game. And then they have Aces back to back, tough games. But those are all winnable games the way they're playing right now. Then they get Dallas again at home and finish out with the Mystics on the road. So I can see a pathway where they win out. Now I say this and they'll probably lose to the Sparks tonight, but it is not inconceivable that they win out, or at the very least they get another rip off another 4 or 5 victories. With the win over Dallas, they are now the stand alone as the number 6 seed, as Phoenix is 1 game back, and they are hot on the trail of the Seattle Storm, who are 2 games in front and conceivably could be in front again, as the Storm's games are quite tough, as they lost to the Sun. They have the Sun one more time on the road, then the Liberty on the road. That's another tough game. Then they're at home versus the Mercury. They have the Sparks on the road. That would seem like a W. And then Dallas, they're on the road to play Dallas. That's a tough little stretch right there. So conceivably, you could see this still changing. Not to mention the Aces are also catchable. So conceivably, they could get a 4 seed. If you look at the Aces, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but you can see a pathway there. As the Aces are 3 games in front, they have the Sky. You think that would be a victory their next game. And then they have the Sun on the road. Again, a tough game. Then they're at the Liberty, and then the Fever twice. So it's one of those where they control what's going to happen. If the Fever take them out in 2 games, you can see a pathway there. And again, the Fever are a young team, so they could, as much as they could rip off the last 7 games and go undefeated, you could see them just going into a tailspin unexpectedly, because that's, young teams can do that. But to me, that would be surprising, as they certainly seem like they figured it out, as they have depth on the inside with Fag Binlay back and Dantas. In addition, they just look good. Like Katie Lou Samuelson is playing again, and they've developed Lexi Hull as well. So yeah, I could see them storming home. And if that does happen, if they wind up getting a 4 seed, then Caitlin Clark should be unanimous Rookie of the Year. And I'm telling you, that's what the next debate is going to be. If the Fever storm home, then she should be unanimous MVP. I think she should be unanimous, not MVP. Rookie of the Year, I think she should be unanimous anyway. Angel Reese is fine. She's getting her rebounds. But Caitlin Clark has come as delivered and impacted her team into the playoffs and impacted the league. Now, looking at the Phoenix Mercury, they are 5 games up and holding on to the number 7 seed. So they're 5 games up over Chicago. I don't think they can fall out of the playoff race, as they have too many games on Chicago, Atlanta, Dallas, and the Mystics, but you never know. But yeah, I don't see that happening. They had a bit of Natasha Cloud got a technical. She is gone for the next game or suspended. Diana Taurasi also got a T, but it has now been rescinded. She was saying that she was speaking to her teammate. I don't know. But Taurasi might wind up getting her 7th technical, as she was speaking in the press conference, and she didn't have a lot of remorse if it was going to go down, and she really said she wasn't going to change her ways. She's like, yeah, I'm going to just do what I do. And because of their lead, it looks like they're pretty much locked in at the 7th spot. If she does get a technical and get suspended, not the end of the world, as the rest would probably do her good, actually. Now, looking again at the bottom of the playoff seeding, I think the Mercury is solid at 7, or they're going to make the playoffs, I would think, because as I mentioned, they're 5 games in front in the win column. They really only need 3 more wins to really lock this thing away. And they've got the Dream coming up, then the Mystics, the Storm, then the Sun at home, the Sky. They're at the Sky. That might be a tough one. And at the Sparks, and then the Storm at home. You think there would be 3 victories in there. So I'm not. I just don't see them missing it. The 3-way battle for the 8 seed, it's interesting, because Chicago, they look awful right now, but Kennedy Carter's been out, obviously. Their schedule doesn't get any easier. Well, it's up and down, but they've got the Aces. They're at the Aces. Then they have the Sparks at home. They've got the Wings at home, then the Mystics, that should be a win. Then they're at the Lynx, Mercury at home, at the Dream, and then at the Sun. Now, the $1 million question, obviously, can Kennedy come back, or when is she coming back? And will that get things right back on the rails? Or are they just in a free fall that cannot be stopped? As I always say, I'm very hesitant to bet against the Chicago Sky. I think they're well coached. I saw another channel where they were sort of blasting Weatherspoon. There's a lot of heat on her. I think she's done a good job with the talent that she had. She has a team of rookies, basically. Then in the same video, there was speculation that Chicago was tanking. I was like, oh my God. Chicago doesn't even have their draft pick, or they have their draft pick, but Dallas has swap rights. Be no reason to tank, because if they did, then, and they got a lower pick than Dallas, Dallas would just swap out and steal their pick. Chicago, overall, I think Weatherspoon has done well as she found Kennedy Carter as well. Michaela Onyenwere, she is playing well. Those are two players to build on. Obviously, with Cardoso and Reese, if Reese fixes her offensive game and can start to finish that's her offseason. That would be the mantra for her. If she can do that, then you have 4 players to build around. I think with Chicago, I just think it's really unfortunate that they did not, or were not able to bring back Courtney Williams and Alana Smith. If they had those two, then this team would really be set going into the future, because Alana Smith was that stretch 5 they need to complement Reese and Cardoso. That would have been a perfect 3-headed monster to sort of rotate in and out. And then Williams would have been the point guard, although I don't... Yeah, watching Courtney Williams and Kennedy Carter play together, obviously that probably couldn't have happened. Now, Dallas is currently 2 games out of the 8th spot. Could it happen? Yes. It will be tough for them, but they are playing better. That loss to the Fever really, really hurt them. But coming up, they have the Mystics. They need to win this game against the Mystics. If they lose to the Mystics at home, they are done like dinner. The other one is they're at the Dream. Obviously, that is a big game. That's a big, big game between those two teams. And then the Sky after that. So they're at the Dream, at the Sky, and then they've got the Liberty twice at home. And that's tough. And they finish really tough. Again, they have the Storm at home, and then on the road versus the Fever, and then at the Aces. Now, that last one versus the Aces, if it doesn't mean anything for the Aces, then that might be an easy win, to be determined how these standings take place or how it shapes out towards the end. Atlanta, again, I think if on paper I would pick them, but I just, like I say, I hate doubting Chicago because it always burns me. Whenever I do a video saying Chicago's doomed, they always come out and win the next game. But with Atlanta, they're at the Mercury, a big game. Then versus the Wings, obviously a big game. That's at home. They have to defend their home court and really put a hammer on the Dallas Wings. Then they're at the Fever versus the Lynx at home, then versus the Mystics at home. That's a must win. And they got back-to-back on the Mystics. Another one, or they're at the Mystics. They've got to get those 2 wins. And then versus the Sky at home, and then at the Liberty, which would be a tough game. But depending, you would think the Liberty by that point would lock up the number 1 seed and would be resting everybody. So if I was just looking at paper, then I would be putting my money on the Atlanta Dream. But man, I think Dallas is playing the best, but I don't know if their schedule is too hard. And then I hate doubting Chicago just because they, like I say, I feel like they always burn me. When I do a video that Chicago is dead, then they come out straight away and win the next game. And I did not include the Mystics in here. The Mystics are in it. Like they have the same record that Dallas does, but I just see them tanking. I really do. I don't see the Mystics making the playoffs. And if I'm wrong, then I will eat my words and I'll do a nice wrong video. And congratulations to them. But I do think it's a 3-team race to the 8th seed, which is Chicago, Atlanta, and Dallas. I think Phoenix will hold on to the 7. Now it's over to you. Do you see the Indiana Fever climbing up to the number 4 seed and passing the Seattle Storm and the Las Vegas Aces? And who do you think will grab the number 8 playoff seed? Do you have Chicago, Atlanta, or Dallas? And do you think the Phoenix Mercury will hold on to the number 7 seed? All right, your comments, your poison, all is welcome. Thanks a lot for watching. Enjoy the games.